Am I like a legit tarot tuber now? I have my little candle burning in the background. Hello, everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome back. I hope you are doing good. Today I'm talking about Oracle decks. It's another installment in my Oracle Diaries series. That's what I'm calling it. I've done a couple of videos. I did a video a while back explaining or kind of talking through my struggles with Oracle decks, I guess, and wanting to find ways to use them more and find ways to use them in my practice that made sense to me and that I found valuable. And I feel like I've done maybe an update since then, or I've mentioned it. But anyway, today I'm talking about one of the days I have come to use Oracle decks, and that is basically pulling Oracle cards and using those to make a tarot spread or to guide my tarot reading sort of on the fly. I know there are decks that are made specifically for that, which are very cool. That's not what this is. I'm taking Oracle decks and using them to formulate a tarot reading. So I'm going to talk through 3 different ways I do that with 3 kind of different types of tarot deck. So there are decks with multiple keywords on each card, which is my preferred kind of Oracle deck in the first place. There are decks with single keywords, and then there are what I guess I'd call like message decks. So anything with like an affirmation or a message of guidance or anything like that, that would probably come under that category. So all of these ideas are very sort of loose and adaptive. Depends what comes up on the Oracle cards I pull, and then I sort of decide what positions for tarot cards as I go and how I can make what's come up on the Oracle card feel the most applicable for me. So these are not static tarot spreads, and that is why I like them. So if you also like the idea of more adaptive tarot spreads, then this video is for you. And I'm going to get straight into it. So this is the Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck. And this is the example I've got for an Oracle deck that has multiple keywords on the cards. So here we can see Scorpio, we've got intensity, exposing, purging and renewing. This is an astrology deck, so we have the signs, the houses, the planets, the elements, and then I think, what do you call this, like angles? What's the word? What's the astrology word for like a square and a sextile and an opposition? What are these called? Anyway, this is the deck, and for my example today I'm going to be pairing it with the Wild Unknown. This is the pocket edition. I've shown this particular pairing of decks off in a video before. I really like how these look together, so that is why I'm using them today. But anyhow, what I do for a multiple keyword Oracle deck is I will pull a card either intentionally, like I'll have a flip through and I'll see what feels like something I want to focus on, or I will, shuffle and pull randomly and let that guide my reading. Okay, we've zoomed back out. So I might pull a card intentionally, or I might shuffle and then that one's jumped out. So fire. Today, is it today? Is it tomorrow? We're entering Sagittarius season, so this feels very appropriate. So I might decide I want to do a fire-based reading for myself as we enter Sagittarius season. And we've got confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery as the keywords here. So I might decide I want to pull 4 cards, one for each of these keywords. And I want to do a reading to look into how I can best be using that fiery energy this Sagittarius season. I mention this all the time. I have no fire in my birth chart, so this feels a little bit simultaneously exciting and exhausting. Fire seasons are simultaneously like they're a lot. They're just a lot for me personally. As if they're not already a lot being fire signs, and then I'm like, this is not where I feel at home. But anyway, so I might decide I want to pull 4 cards, and I want to pull, where can I grow or develop my confidence? Where am I gonna need to be optimistic? What is an area of passion of mine that I need to be focusing on or fueling. And I want to say where or how can I be brave? Because I've already got where do I need to be optimistic? So how do I be brave? Because I feel like otherwise those feel very similar to me. So where can I develop confidence? Judgment, love that for me. Where do I need some optimism? The Hermit, interesting. What's an area of passion that I want to be fueling? The Sun. Wow, this is all very majors. And how do I be brave? With the High Priestess. Okay, this is a little bit intense for a on camera, quick, not that serious reading. So we have 4 whole major cards. That's interesting. And I'm not going to spend too long reading this reading. This is sort of to show you the kind of thing I do. But it's feeling very intense, which honestly matches up quite well with Sagittarius season already being intense for me. So like I feel like this is a lot of independence, and I feel like needing optimism in this hermity place also feels like a kind of call for independence, like going it alone compared with the confidence in Judgment. Passion with the Sun, do it for the love. And bravery with the High Priestess. Again, it's that like trusting in yourself. Like the optimism and the bravery are both quite internal cards. Wow, okay, that was pretty heavy. But do you see what I'm getting at? So I'll pull a card, and maybe I would intentionally pull a card and then formulate a little reading based off the keywords on there. So this is really nice. Actually, all of these Oracle Tarot readings are really nice if I want to do a reading for myself, but I don't know exactly when I want to do it on. So I might have like a vague feeling, and I can go through and pull a card that resonates, or I can just shuffle at random and, you know, I might pull a few. I might pull like, I don't know, 12th house. I might think, you know what, I don't want to do a reading about spirituality, transcendence, karma, sacrificial service, and healing right now, or what have you. So yeah, that is my first style of reading tarot with Oracle, using Oracle to read tarot. I'm gonna have to come up with something a bit less of a mouthful before I post this video. Very much hoping that the rest of my examples are not quite as intense as that one was. But so next up, we've got a single keyword, and the deck I've got for that is the Animal Apothecary. I've been really loving this deck recently, and this is as in with the, well, you know, single keyword, short message. We've got like it's in you, quantum jump, better than you can imagine, inner conflict resolution. Like they're shorter messages rather than the longer messages in the next deck that I'm gonna talk about. And as I'm walking through this, that doesn't seem like it's gonna be obviously the case, but it feels to me like it's the case, and this is all a personal practice, so that's what we're dealing with. So same deal, I will either shuffle and pull one at random, or I will select one that feels right. And so at random we've got Claim Your Power. Oh, we have Metamorphosis on the back. Metamorphosis? I can't speak. I like Metamorphosis. It's one of the reasons I got this deck. So we're actually going to play with this one today. And so what I will do with the single keyword deck, at least with this one, is I will look to the guidebook to guide what kind of tarot cards I'm going to pull. And I like doing this because I typically don't really reach for a guidebook for an Oracle deck in the same way that I would with a tarot deck. This is why I like multiple keywords on a card. I like the card to just be the card. I don't want to have to, or feel like I have to, look for meaning in the guidebook. So like Metamorphosis is one of my like favorite words. It feels very yummy. It has a lot to it. Like it has a lot of personal resonance for me. So I could just go based off that. But for the sake of this video, let's see. So it's card 34. Metamorphosis. So I'm not going to read this whole thing out because it's a couple pages, but what I will do is I will just flick through, have a read of the entry, and then see what jumps out at me that I want to do a reading on. So what's immediately sort of jumping out at me here is that this isn't just about the transformation. It's not about the butterfly you're becoming. It's about the fact that the cocoon phase is scary and painful. I don't know why I'm not doing lighter, fluffier tarot readings for this video, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to pull a couple cards, and I think I might just pull two. So one card for what is to represent what it is that needs to be shed, what has been protective and been valuable, but is now getting in the way of this transformation and this beautiful metamorphosis. And then the second card for something to have faith in, or something to look to when it feels scary and hard. So that's what we'll do. And what have I got? I have the Way Home Tarot, which I actually think looks really good with this deck. So the message of this card is ultimately lean into it. It feels very Hanged Man to me. It's like lean into the pain, lean into the discomfort, because you can't stay where you've been. You've just kind of got to sit in this painful Hanged Man transformative cocoon energy. So what is it that needs to be stripped away and left behind? What used to be helpful but is now a hindrance? I realize as I describe that, it doesn't sound anything like the Hanged Man, but the energies are the same in my brain. And what to look to, what to hold on to when it feels too hard and scary. So, Five of Wands. Maybe like I'm thinking like a kind of defensive energy here, like the competition, the argument, the combative nature of the Five of Wands is feeling very like defensive in this context. And look to the Son of Wands. Interesting. That's definitely a transformation, right? In terms of the numerology of the suit, that's definitely a growth and an evolution in a way. Which is interesting because the Son of Wands in this deck is the Knight of Wands and is still very, it's fire of fire. Like it's very fiery. It's definitely, he can be a bit combative. And I think being fire of fire, there's a risk of, you know, that kind of when fires burn so hot and so strong that you have to just wait for them to burn themselves out. I feel like that is maybe the shadow side of the Son of Wands a little bit, of the Knight of Wands. Am I getting away from my point? Maybe. So how is that something to look forward to? I think maybe turning that inward. So instead of the Five of Wands, of that kind of outward focus, turning that inward and looking forward to, or looking forwards to being somebody with so much belief in their own convictions and passions that not much can stand in your way, I guess. This was a much more confused reading than my other example, but that would be how I use this sort of a deck with like a single keyword to spark a reading. I really like these two decks together though. Alright, so finally we're going with a message deck, I guess, and this is the Secret Language of Colour cards, which I never reach for because it's bloody massive. But I actually really like this deck. So this is more of like an advice than the previous deck. So revitalize your nervous system, let love in, attract a relationship, be spontaneous and have fun. And it's also a little bit more I don't want to say fluffy, but it is a little bit more positive, good vibes than the Animal Apothecary can be. So same deal, I'm going to shuffle here. I've done this in rainbow edges because how could I not? I can just about shuffle this. All right. Improve your vision, Indigo. That's a very pretty card. And then what I like to do with this deck in particular and this kind of affirmation type message is I like to do a past, present, future reading. So I'm using here, this is the Fairy Tarot, which I picked purely because I've also done rainbow edges for this one. So I'll do 3 cards. I'll do a past, present, future for sort of how this message applies to me. So here we've got improve your vision. So I'll do a past. What has that meant? Like, what does that mean to me looking back? What has my vision been? Where has my vision been? Strong or lacking or something like that. And then the present is, okay, where am I at now with my vision? And then future, like literally, how do I implement this advice? Like, where do I go from here to improve my vision? Past, present, future. All right, past, Knight of Cups. My vision has been very heart-led over anything else. Present, 8 of Cups. I'm leaving things behind. Maybe that's a clarification of my vision. And future, 3 of Swords. Wow, okay, that's nice. That's what we love to see, isn't it? I feel like my cards are being not mean strictly, but just like, these are not very chill readings, are they? Anyway, so within this context, I would take this to say that this 8 of Cups is really important, and make sure that in the 8 of Cups, in that like careful stacking up of what you're about to leave behind and going on your journey, that kind of, it requires a clarity and a lot of real introspection, because the 3 of Swords I always feel is like, it's almost like the burden of knowledge. It's like ignorance is bliss until it isn't, until you learn something you can't unlearn. And I think you're in a much better place to deal with that if you've really intentionally and fully done this 8 of Swords, 8 of Cups sort of transition. As for improving your vision with the 3 of Swords, I guess, yeah, ignorance is bliss until it isn't. And there's a clarity that comes with that, even if you don't like it. So that was all sunshine and rainbows, wasn't it? But do you see the example? I'll do like a past, present, future. And I really enjoy that, because sometimes the message that comes up, like if I try and use this deck, the Secret Language of Color cards, as a sort of afterthought in a reading or a clarifier in a tarot reading, which I think is how a lot of us use oracle cards the majority of the time, is I'll do my reading and then I'll pull an oracle to try and tie everything together. This doesn't always gel very well, because I could be doing a reading on anything. I could be doing a reading on, say, I could be doing a reading on how to tackle a difficult communication situation in the workplace, for instance. So I've done that reading and then I pull improve your vision. I'm like, well, that's not very pertinent. So I prefer to use this to build the reading around, because these messages don't always feel very applicable to every situation. So if you start with a message, then you can kind of build a reading around it. And again, it's great for when I want to do a reading, but I don't really know what I want to do, because a lot of these messages and a lot of these kind of more like affirmation-y advice guidance decks tend to be a little bit more vague, but usually quite like positive leaning. So I don't know what I want to read. I'll pick a vaguely positive message and then build a reading around that. And it works really nicely. So that is where I'm going to leave you today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know if you do similar things, if you use Oracle to build tarot spreads. I have really been enjoying working with Oracle more by doing this kind of practice, and I would love to hear if you do anything different, anything else as well. But yeah, that's everything from me. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for watching and for spending some time with me. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.